Hi guys, welcome to another podcast of Bets and Balance Sheets. Today we are speaking about the risks and rewards of expanding to new gambling markets, exploring what's behind the scenes in these strategies, how companies think about them, and how they plan it. Today we have Melvin with us. He was the general manager at Leo Vegas for a while now, and he's just starting his new venture, founder of Xcite. Is going to launch very, very soon. And also we have Ivo, CEO at Playbook Engineering, having worked with IGP and Sporting Tech. Both of them have a lot of experience into launching products in new markets and helping companies do so. And that's why they are here. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming. And we can start by just exactly that. Trying to understand what is behind the scenes on this process of entering new markets. How do they plan? How do companies pick these markets? Just get us all the insights.
Okay, so thank you for having us here. I think it's an absolute pleasure to be part of this podcast. So thank you for the invite. Thank you, everyone. Well, that's a really good question. Very vague. I don't think we can cover it in 20 minutes. But there are things that are transversal to all the markets. I think we can share a few. For me, I think one of the main concerns is regulation. And of course, you can add layers of product and everything, but regulation and uncertainty in certain markets, for me, I think are the breaking point where you decide to go or not to go. Then taxation, obviously, for several reasons, is a big must. So you need to consider those before considering what kind of operation you're going to have, what exactly the market needs and asks in order for you to actually be successful over there. So I think for me, those two are crucial to consider when you're looking to a new jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if we go back 10, 15, whatever years, you launch a casino and you have global coverage and it kind of works here and there. And then maybe you see some markets doing better than others. You put a bit more focus there and you start to develop. But these days, if you want to launch a new casino, you really have to say, okay, I want to go after this market, and you focus on that, right? You can't just say, we'll launch something, or maybe you're already live in some markets and you say, let's translate now into, I don't know, Portuguese and launch in Brazil and see how it goes. You're not going to succeed, right? You need to actually put the research behind it. You need to then have the capacity actually with your business to actually deliver that as well. You can't just say, let's launch it. Maybe we hire a translation or a marketing country manager and we'll go with it. No, you need to have everyone on board. You need to have your legal team on board, like you're saying, taxation or accounting, from the get-go. You need to make sure that you can operate there legally and sound, but you need also your tech team there. You need your product team there. You need your support. You need your operations. You need everything literally, planned out and mapped out. Because if you don't, just launching a new market without focusing on it, it's not gonna work. Yeah.
It's not infinite resources, right? So allocating and focus in a market. It's not just having boots on the ground, as you were saying. You need more. You need all the company and the structure to actually pull towards that. Otherwise, it's a big mess. Marketing is good. Having a good general manager is good. A country manager, whatever, that is good. But from customer support up to delivery, everything needs to be in line. Otherwise, it will fail. And today the market is so competitive, and then that is really tough. And so you can lose money in this process. So maximizing all of this, and I don't know if we're going to talk US because that's a good emerging market, I would say. Of course, it's not emerging, but it's there for quite some time. Probably, Melvin, you can speak a little bit about US, but that's a market where if you don't get it right from the beginning, most likely you'll struggle to be successful.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting point that you mentioned about like local partners as well and having the right people on the ground. But before that, I'd like to even ask you, is that what actually happens in real life? Like they pick one market and go for it, or in reality, what happens is something different?
I've seen both. I've done both. I've seen both. Again, if I think back a lot of years ago, what we actually did early days Royal Panda, we launched a whole bunch of markets and we maybe tolerated 50 markets, of which 5, 6, 7 just performed better than others. And then we said, okay, what can we do extra here? Can we get localized support? Can we get localized this? Can we get better payments coverage? Can we get better games coverage? Can we do better marketing, more focus? Because we're seeing the performance. But if you start something now and you say, okay, let's launch a new market, let's say Brazil or Chile, Peru, whatever, in LATAM or somewhere else, I've seen both. I've seen companies that say, "Oh, we translate the website, we go live, and then we see how it starts picking up. And if it picks up, we put more investment behind it, and we." But then you won't really take off. Like if you don't put everything in place, you don't localize well enough, you don't have the good product, the good service level, the good marketing, the good tech. Like you need literally A to Z. Otherwise, it's just not going to take off anymore. And
yeah. If I may add, and it's yeah, I think it's more than that. We are in an industry that changes. I'm not going to say every week, but it changes a lot. So in a year's time, it changes a lot. So when you talk about a market like you just mentioned, Brazil by itself has a continental kind of size. So even in Brazil, you have differences, a huge difference between what happens in Bahia, Espírito Santo, São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro. Everything is different. The player is different. Demographics is different. The investment is different, and the player behavior is different. And that can also change by local players and international players that just do something different. We were talking, I think it's backstage, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking backstage a little bit, and actually Melvin mentioned two players in this market. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but
yeah, go ahead. You know these markets well. So.
And Betano and also Betson, how they approach that market. So same market, two established entities and completely different strategies. One goes for acquisition, the other one doesn't. So one is more brand awareness, sponsoring, influencers, etc., etc. Both of them work. Both of them are correct. Both of them come with their own risks. But in the end of the day, how they maximize this and what is the profit that they actually can take from that market, it all depends of the final strategy. So there's space for mistakes, but there's also a lot of opportunity. So I think in the end, it's just balancing it out.
Yeah. And that's indeed, well, that's Latam, right? Or that's Brazil more specifically than Betson or Betano. But if you look even at the Netherlands, for instance, it's a market that's been regulated for nearly 2 years now. Of course, there were quite some operators that were active there before the regulation as well. Some of them built a massive market share. For instance, Unibet or Kindred Group, they did very well. But unfortunately, of course, they were not one of the first to go live because of it. That gave an opportunity for a brand new player, BetCity, coming out of nowhere. And I believe it was really within their first year of actually being live, they sold for, I don't know, what was it, 300 million plus 500 million earnout or something massive to Entain. So for BetCity, a company that had no activity in the Netherlands before, building something that big, that quickly, and making an exit before even others, before Unibet was allowed to re-enter the market effectively, it was huge for them. At the same time, Entain now has one of the market-leading brands by acquisition as well, right? So there's all the players there. And after Unibet actually re-entered the market, they're already one of the market leaders again. So they still managed to leverage of the brand awareness that they did have pre-regulated markets. So there's so many routes to still being successful in markets. Of course, new or soon to be regulated markets, I think that's where you can, I don't know, I wouldn't call it easily, but there's the big opportunity. Whereas markets that are not yet regulating, or the markets that are long time regulated, maybe it takes a bit more time, or it's more difficult to gain that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. You guys spoke about translating the website and those marketing materials and understanding the demographics. How much do you think that the culture on these places impact the decision of actually going there, and also the chances of success within your business expanding to those markets?
No, you have to know the market you're going to, right? Culture is one of the main factors, and the society fabrics. It will also influence the way you marketing, that you go to the market, and how you decide to actually acquire your customer. There are some cultural restrictions, I would say. So one of the good examples that you were saying, UAE and Islamic countries, right? By the Quran, they are forbidden to gamble, right? But we see, for example, Egypt has, I think it's like 14 casinos. And you see that it's possible to have gambling in these areas, but you need to be very conscious and very cautious on how to approach these markets. And so with respect and understanding of the culture, you can do it, but there has to be a comprehensive understanding and respect on how things are done. Otherwise, you can just crash and burn.
Actually, UAE just reminded me. I was there a couple of years ago watching Formula One in Abu Dhabi, and I've been in Dubai a couple of times. One of the things they do is also they differentiate for the locals and the foreigners, right? So all the locals, they cannot actually drink there. So even at the Formula One race, there were specific sections where locals were not even allowed in, only the foreigners, and they were allowed to drink there, they were allowed to do things there. I feel like with the gambling regulation, it will be similar to that, so where the locals maybe are not allowed to participate, but the foreigners, the tourists, they're okay. Which
kind of makes sense, and even now they are assembling a commission to understand the impact of gambling in their society. So it's something that we're probably going to see some evolution in the future. But not only cultural part, but also politically, it can affect the success that you have in certain markets. We have a lot of operators that, for example, try to get into Germany and fail because of political situations that happen there as well. How can you prevent those kind of things? Is it possible, or is also a gamble?
The reason I would say that Germany is not working is that, from my personal perspective, the regulation doesn't make sense. There is literally no reason that I can come up with that why you would want to be with the German gambling license right now, because the black market has 95% market share, has insane profitability, whereas the regulated every licensed casino has to deal with restrictions that are very player unfriendly. So if I were to launch anything myself at the moment, it would definitely not target the German regulated market, because I just don't see that as a good business case at the moment. It's just not an interesting product for the consumer, and that's where it needs to start. It needs to be an interesting product for the consumer, which you cannot build, I think, within the current German framework. And it is so easy to play at the unlicensed casinos in Germany, which is what all the players are doing. It's I don't have the official stats, but I believe it's over 95% of the market that actually plays on the unlicensed there, which to me says that the German licensing system has failed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you think is the best places to go to, the best markets, the most interesting ones at the moment to enter?
I don't know if I could really pick one. I still think there are opportunities in a lot of different countries. Like I said, even new or soon to be regulated markets, I personally would go for. Then I don't like to comment on specific markets because either I might want to go after them myself, or you might not want to mention going after. But no, I would personally say there are some to avoid where I say no, I don't waste your time there. But there are so many good opportunities still out there if you have the right team, the knowledge, and the focus. And that's what I said before. Don't try to launch into 5 interesting markets at the same time. Focus one that you really want to do it right, put all your focus there. And if you're realizing you have extra resources, sure, pick a second. If you have extra resources, pick a third. But the worst thing you can do is go after 5 new opportunities, have 20 focus on each of them, and not succeed anywhere. I think that's the worst thing you can do. If you're going after something now, be focused, be laser focused. Don't cast that wide net or try to fish, everywhere, but, go after one thing and do that right. That's what I would say.
Well, for us, for our customers, I think UK is a very interesting market. We have the solution over there. It works perfectly. So the product is really good over there in UK. So I would say that will always be one of our main focus. Although it's a mature market, might be a little bit saturated, but it's a very competitive market. But it is still good, and the product is good. Regulation, it's in line. It protects the player, and that's what you want in the end. So it's a good market. But again, as he mentioned, we need to go for emerging markets and new markets, and I think there's a huge opportunity. For me, I see it in Brazil. But again, you have the political issue, and you have the uncertainty around regulation that changes almost every week, and so building a business plan around this uncertainty is quite hard, but the opportunity is there. And so if you are aware of the difficulties and the challenges over there, I think you can succeed very, very well. So we see this quite often.
And do you think that it might happen, for example, this Brazil use case, that you might enter a market that, even though it's not regulated, is already saturated?
Saturated, I would not say, because it's a huge market and it's creating new players almost on a weekly basis.
And also the moment it's regulated and socially accepted, and you get more opportunities in terms of marketing, product, etc., etc. Like, I don't think the market is saturated now.
Okay. Do you think it can happen, entering a market that is not regulated yet but is already saturated?
Again, for that one, my personal opinion, I think it will reach 170 million active players at least. So to become saturated, I think it still has to grow. It will grow exponentially for sure, but to reach that target, it will take time for sure.
Okay. And just to finish, because I think this is also a very interesting question for the people that are intending on entering new markets. You mentioned having the right partners and finding local people that are able to support you on that journey. How do you find these people, and what do you think are the best practices in choosing them over the course of entering a market that you don't know much about, but you think there's a lot of potential there?
Yeah, I think for me that is one of the biggest challenge, if not the challenge itself. Across Latam, there are really good professionals out there, but there you don't have quantity. You have quality, a lot of quality, but you don't have quantity, which is kind of bizarre when you think, oh, there's a huge population over there. Yes, but working in gaming, and this is very specific, you don't have that so many professionals out there. So I think that is one of the biggest challenges. So to find them, I think you have to go with referrals and trust the professionals that are doing recruitment in those areas. We have really good companies doing that, and you have to go with it. But I prefer to build teams from scratch. So even if I take someone junior, I think we need to dedicate the time to mentor them and just try to grow them and make really good solid teams.
Yeah, the same. Like finding good people is tough. If you need just advice, right? I'm sure there's plenty of advisory companies that can help you to build a business case and maybe a launch plan. But if you actually want to build a product, if you actually want to operate, you need a good team with good people. And like you said, I'm just starting my new venture now. Xcite will need good people, so I'll use this as a pitch. Actually, come apply. But yeah, by the time this goes live, probably we'll still need a lot of good people. Yeah, that's going to be the challenge for sure.
One thing that I see also happening a lot is the opposite. Is, for example, you are in America and you want to launch in America, but you don't have a lot of gambling experience. So you go and find people in Europe that build casinos and build these online ventures. Do you see that happen a lot? Like the complete opposite, local people trying to find external partners that bring the knowledge?
For sure. And especially in the US, I think you see this a lot, and not just by individuals. I'm sure anyone indeed who's been in Europe in casino space or betting space for some time has been approached by I don't know how many recruiters or consultant companies like, hey, come help us out here. But even by massive M&A deals, right? You see now the US companies actually acquiring European or existing iGaming businesses just to get the tech, just to get the people, to get the knowledge, to get the infrastructure. For sure. I think that's one of the big ways in which they do it.
Nothing to add.
Yeah.
Nothing to add. Nothing
That's
to
great. Okay, guys. I don't think I have more questions for you two. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I think for me it was really insightful. So I hope that for you guys was also insightful. And yeah, make sure you follow us on social media and follow up with the next episodes because there will be more. So thank you so much and speak soon.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Vasco,
you.
for
Thank you so
having
much.
us. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.